for me to be like the guest, I guess you could say. I am a control freak. So I am always in control, and I'm always, I know you know. So 2014 is my like relinquishing of control, or trying to. And so I'm trying to like step back and let other people do things. So it's weird. It's very awkward. It's awkward for me. I'm always the host of the shows, always running around and doing things. So I want to thank you guys so much, first and foremost, for being here. And thank you again, Millie, Thessa, Brittany. These two ladies are Kayla and Keisha. And Vivian, that just so gracefully sat down. She's another Poet She lady, and she's phenomenal performer and writer as well. So I want to give it up for all of you, and especially the Poet She ladies. Thank you again. Give it up for yourselves. So there are two people that I want to thank in a special way. I was saving that till now. One person is my boyfriend. His name is Eric Thompson, not LB. His name is Eric. But the reason why is because, honestly, I said earlier, the reason why I grow, I think, as a writer, as an artist, because I do many forms of art, I think that my art grows because I am with him. And I do believe that. I do believe that the person that you should be with or spend your life with should grow you as an artist, as a person, as a being. And so I do owe a lot of my growth as a writer, my growth as a performer to him. And so I want to thank you so much. I called iShine one of the hardest people working writers that I know, but actually it's you, I think, that is the harder worker, and iShine feeds off of your encouragement, and so, and as do I. And so I want to thank you so much for being an inspiration for this book. Eric actually has no idea what these poems are really about, because he's wanted this to be a secret for a long time. And again, you know, when you're with someone, as much as we are, you write with that person. That person helps you put your poems together. They tell you what you should put in your piece. They tell you how you should say it. So he's been a huge impact on the way I write, the way I speak, the way I perform. And so I said all that to say, if you don't like some of the things, you can just blame his influence. The second person, it is a really big deal that she is here, and it's very emotional for me. One of the reasons why is because she is my mother, and she came all the way from Maryville, Indiana, to be here today. And so I want to give it up for my mom. And so what I'll do is I'll just read this. This book is dedicated to Francette Williams, the woman who birthed me for many hours and made it look easy, my greatest inspiration. Thank God for the woman who had you and the women that came before her. Thank you for teaching me to be kind and to love without question, to love God and love myself first. Thank you for teaching me the definition of perseverance, forgiveness, and having true peace of mind. You are the epitome of a real woman. You have had real problems and triumphed through them with grace and magical beauty. Let me tell you about a woman who waits on God to move like sunsets holding out the daybreak. She showed me how to hold amazing grace in my palm, poured sugar in my salted tears, so I had a reason to smile every time I cried. My mother, thank you so much for being here. This book is dedicated to her. So I called this book Real Girls Have Real Problems because they do. I looked back over my poetry. Again, honestly, some of the stuff that I was saying, most of what I was saying wasn't a lie. Millie, Ashley, told me that I should write a book. And so I said, okay. And so I looked through all of my poems, and I said I don't really have poems that flow together. What is the running theme? The running theme in all my poems were that women are messed up, and we have issues, and I have issues, and I have problems, and it was only fitting and proper to call the book Real Girls Have Real Problems. Eric asked me why I called it that, and that is the reason. And I thought that it was very important for me to just go ahead and lay that out on the table, right? I said before that I'm a control freak, and I am. I think some people assume because I am in the face all the time in the public and doing things that I don't have issues and I don't have problems and that I'm perfect, that I'm not. And I have really like serious issues. And so I felt like it was very important, especially because I am an educator. I've taught girls for quite a while now, and I love it. And I hate that they think that being a woman should just be a bed of roses, skipping in a field. And I say that in here, that I think some of my students, as little girls, they're taught that they are princesses and that we should just be running in a field of daisies with tiaras, but that's not reality. And so I felt like it was important for me to just go ahead and say it right up front. Real girls have real problems. Fake girls have fake problems. Men just have problems. Right? So that's how I feel about it. If you don't like it, you can throw it right back, take it, or leave it. And so I want women to embrace their issues. I want them to embrace the fact that we have daddy issues, we have mommy issues, we have boyfriend issues, we have teacher issues that told us that we would never be anything, we have racial issues, we have societal issues. So I think that there's no limit to the problems that we can have. With that said, some of my pieces in my book are a bit dark. And I think that that's okay too. I think getting to the point where you realize that, okay, life is not always light. There's a poem that I'm going to read that talks about that, that sometimes you have to bring the light into your own dark life, right? And I found that just through maturity, through talking to my mom, through accepting God into my life, and He is my light. And so this first poem actually is another ode to my mother. It is not my mother piece that a lot of people know, but I actually wrote this poem. I'll give the backstory on this piece. So it's called Princess, and some of you guys have heard me do it when I perform, but this is a new version, and these are the two inspirations for this piece. So a lot of the poems in my book start off as something really small, something really minuscule on a really vain level, right? So I had a problem with her, and I don't like her, so I'm gonna write a poem about this, right? And then I really sat down and said, okay, that's vapid, that's shallow. I need to really look at the bigger picture. What, my publisher said this to me. She said, what is this poem about? And then what does that mean for the world around you? And I said, oh, that's interesting. So she said, there, you have a problem with this particular person, right? But what does that really say about you as a woman? What is your issue with her? What does that say? What's wrong with you, not what's wrong with her? Right? So I said, oh gosh, like you're just supposed to be my publisher. You're like calling me out. So I originally wrote this piece because there was a particular young lady that I didn't care for, and which, you know, that happens, right, in life. That'll happen every day. And I didn't like how she reminded me of my female students. She reminded me of the girls that always needed someone to save her, needed to call someone when she was in a problem or a tiff, and she couldn't figure it out herself, right? She needed a guy, and she needed things to me that were so surface-based, that had no real substance. And when my publisher said that to me, it was really interesting because the bigger picture in this poem is that I don't believe that a lot of women see the power that is in themselves. And something that my friend said to me when I originally wrote the original version of this poem, those of you that know me, I write many versions to pieces. The original version of this poem was about that young lady that I didn't care for, and then it turned into be this bigger thing that showed me a lot about myself. And one of the reasons why I see that we have power as women, and the reason why I am the way I am, I want to be the face, and I want to take control and make everything perfect. But the real reason for that is because I see the potential in so many things, and I see the potential in womanhood, and the reason why I do is because of my mother, and her mother, and her mother, and her mother, and I do believe that we have this gorgeous line of women that were so strong, and it just isn't that way anymore. Our young girls aren't being raised by women like that, and so I noticed that the problem wasn't with her, right? It was my difference in my upbringing. That was the reason why we weren't really getting along, or why I don't care for how she behaves. And so instead of looking at what's wrong, why not look at what was right and how I was raised? There are men that say that we women are all the same, all love-struck and sex-craved, twirling telephone cords around our fingers, waiting on their text message responses. And there are girls that say that we are all damsel, all flower, all torn pieces of lace, waiting on some strong man's hands to sew us back together. Contrary to popular belief, all women's cries over balconies don't sound like yours. Some women's cries sound like battle, like hymns, like messages to God. I was born from the souls of women that knew something comes from nothing, knew that being alone is a test of faith, women that could stand in a war zone with one baby on hip, one in hand, and still take care of home and business all at the same time. I don't know just what family you come from, don't know anything about your ancestry or your family tree, but what I do know is what standing in front of me is a good representation of the other women living in your family. The good indication of who taught you how to howl at the wind, who taught you to dust off, spit out the blood, and go back to the fight swinging. You, all tears and no fight, all whining and no perseverance. Did the matriarchs teach you nothing of survival? Did they not teach you how to wear womanhood like a shield and not a warning label? These contents and this package are not easily broken. It is evident from the sobs, from the constant fall apart when nothing goes your way, that you have never been smacked across the face by life. It is clear to me that you have never had to choose between want and need, because to you they are the same. I pity the women who never knew strong in their household, those that constantly heard fall apart and unravel, and now we are left with the mere remnants of survival, watered down by pity and runny mascara, sitting, wondering who will come save them when they scrape their knee. You have given women a bad name, while us hustlers, us, is that all you got? Women are sweating and salting through life. You are merely taking up space, so grab a shovel, get to work. There be no room for desperate housewives, home workers, or gold diggers here. Make no mistake, not all princesses keep compass and lipstick in their purse and dream of pearls and princes. Some of us keep an arsenal of wit and street smart, a loaded gun barrel, and our dirty fingernails just fine. Thank you.